Annyeonghaseyo! Welcome to Afternoona Delight, where Leah, Megan, and Amy, romance novelists, and your K-romance guides. So grab some dekboki and listen to your new favorite unease.
I look like I'm wearing a toupee. Hey, everybody, it's Leah Riley here.
Hello, it's Megan.
Hi, it's Amy.
You know, someday I'm going to be Hollywood ready, but today is not the day. As if you're just listening at home and not watching the video, I just glanced at the camera for the first time and realized I was like, it looks like I'm wearing a toupee for some reason.
You did have like a weird swoop going on.
It's
Yeah.
because I wore my beanie all day. I'm going to put my beanie
Beanie!
back on.
We love your beanie.
Yeah, we do.
It's a
Yeah.
beanie day.
How cute. I love your beanie.
Thanks. This is one of many I have. I've got like 4 beanies around me.
I have a lot of beanies too.
So we, a couple of weeks ago, we dropped a podcast episode on first episodes. We were trying to sell each other on after watching a first episode of a drama. I had watched the first episode of The Art of Sarah. Leah had watched the first episode of Our Universe, and Megan had watched the first episode of Spring Fever. And we promised you at the end of that episode that we would come back in a couple weeks and let you know if we kept on watching. So, are we still watching our dramas? Did we finish our dramas? Did we drop our dramas? Who wants to go first?
I can go first. So I was watching Spring Fever, and I am still watching it, although I'm watching it very slow. I'm currently trying to get a book ready, so I just haven't been watching as fast as I would have liked. And it doesn't right now, it's not like feeling compulsively compulsively watchable to me, which is a little frustrating. Like it doesn't feel like a binge, and I wish it felt like a binge. And I think my issue is, okay, so Spring Fever is the one with An Bo-hyun. Um he, he's like my only investment. Like I don't actually care about pretty much any other characters. Like they haven't I feel like they're trying to push this like high school romance on me, but the
They have the
male
wrong person for that.
that's wrong. I'm the wrong person, but the male high schooler is such a water bottle. Like he's
Ugh.
just so boring. And the female high schooler is just constantly mean to him because he's like number 1 in the class and she's number 2. And she's like, I just wish you would go away. And she's like mean to him. And so she's extremely unlikable because I don't like understand why she's being so nasty to him. And so I'm like, I'm not invested in these two ever. So when there's like scenes with them, I am like, can we just go back to An Bo-hyun? I mean, look, they're making An Bo-hyun do physically impossible feats in every episode. And I really do giggle and I eat it up every time, but I'm going to need them to start kind of like giving me something else. So I'm still enjoying it. I'm in no way like disliking it. I'm going to keep watching it, but it is very slow going.
What episode are you on? Out of
4.
how many?
4. I think it's 12.
Okay.
So, but they sort of like just introduced not introduced. They're like getting more into now like An Bo-hyun's like nemesis, and who I also think is going to be the second male lead. They're really starting to like bring him up more and get him more involved. I wish they weren't trying to sell me on this like high school like relationship between these two, because it's just like I'm not the one.
And Leah, how are you doing with Our Universe?
So I am still going with Our Universe. I did hit a pause. So I got to where last week I was I was watching it completely caught up. Like I hadn't started it right when it came out, but I'd gotten myself caught up to like all the episodes had aired that were at the point where, I finished. And that's when I ended up then ruining my life by being like, you know what, since this is caught up and I've got a couple days, I feel like I'm still in like a drama bin. Like I just feel like watching dramas. So I am going to start the Red Sleeve. I'll be talking about the Red Sleeve later, but like Red Sleeve took over my life. So Our Universe fell by the wayside. And I have not picked it back up, but I'm on like I forget exactly. I think I'm on like episode 7. Like I'm going to finish it. And then after I finish the Red Sleeve, which was a very intense binge for me, 2 nights ago, I was on the couch waiting for my daughter to, like, finish showering or something, and we were gonna start rewatching Our Universe, and my husband came in, picked up the remote, and was like, I'll watch something till, like, she gets out of the shower," and I was like, "Sure." And so he turned on The Pit, which I was like, I have seen so many commercials. I know nothing about this. I am very disconnected from Western
Not a
media.
K-drama.
Not a
Let's
K-drama, it's an
clarify. Yeah.
American show. It is been on all my commercial like, every time I was watching Run BTS with Poppy, we would get commercials for The Pit, to where I was like they would come up and we'd be like, "We hate The Pit," because these commercials were just, like, too many commercials. So when
Right.
he turned it on, I'm like, "Are you kidding?" I'm like, "I hate this," and he's like, "You've seen it?" I'm like, "No, I just hate these commercials." And he's like, "Well, I'm just gonna watch a couple minutes. I've heard it's good, whatever." And I was like, "Fine." 5 minutes later, I was like, "I'm fucked. This drama is going to this Western drama is now going to ruin my life." Like, you know, when you start something and you just know, like, this is it.
Yep.
So for the last 2 nights, that's all last night, I was up with my husband and my 2 kids, both who were like, "I don't wanna watch The Pit." I was like, "Just watch 5 minutes. I don't know what to tell you. There's crack in this drama, and you will just watch it." So both of my kids, Jer especially was, like, so grumpy about it. Last night, it's like 11 o'clock. He's like, one more episode, one more episode." So we're all completely hooked by The Pit. So
Love it.
our universe is I'm bringing this all up to just say our universe is still sitting there for me, which means I like it, but I am not compelled by like, the red sleeve, I was like, I lost all sleep. I was setting my alarm to get up at 5:30 in the morning to be watching episodes before work after going to bed at, like, 2 at night. Like, it was
Yeah,
it
you were just on Instagram at all the times. I was like, "Are you sleep what are you doing?"
no, I'm just constantly yeah. So, anyway, so what I'm gonna say about our universe for where I'm at right now is it surprised me, but the premise did get me, which was, that 2 in-laws who can't stand each other suddenly have to, like, raise their orphan nephew together, and the little baby in its name is Uju, which means universe in Korean, so our universe is, like,
I
named
love
Uju,
that.
which is cute. And again, I am, like, very immune to plot Moppets. It is rare. I mean, I love my children. I will die for my children, but I am not going to be very like, if I see a cute kid on a show, to be a cute kid, I'm usually like, I am a hater of plot
Yeah.
Moppets. This kid is just a genuinely adorable child, and I believe that they use him strategically. Like, he's still a baby, so he's not, like, doing, like, the "How wooed, Michelle." I keeps, like, always using, like, the, like, stuff back to, like, Full House. So, I think the early episodes feel really good to me because it's just like this, like, everyday mundane stuff, like, you're kind of in forced proximity, but there's stuff to do because 'cause you're having to do, like, daycare runs and diaper duty and, like, kind of, like, awkwardly learning how to, like, be in this family that's, like, in, like, a short-term situation, and the hero who's played incredibly well, Taehyun Yuk, he's like this kinda, like, grumpy, closed off guy who is, like, getting emotional about his nephew and, like, becoming, like, kinda like the main domestic in the home. I'm going to say and again, these are light spoilers, so if you wanna know nothing about this, don't listen, but, like, the very light spoilers I'm gonna say is that there's a love triangle that kicks in, and I am not a love triangle hater at all. Like, I know a lot of people have strong feelings about love triangles. I tend to not mind them if they're done well. In this case, I'm gonna say that this one feels like it's taking screen time and plot air away from what I care about in the show, and I don't think I'm alone in this. I do have the sense that this seems to be a fairly common vibe, and so I think that's what slowed down the compulsion. So it's not that I don't hate it yet, but they're gonna have to start to change it up soon, or I could tell that, like, where I'm at, like, I'm like, I quite like it, I could move to a like it, to I could move to, like, what are we fucking doing here?
Yeah.
So I think that's where I'm at right now. So I'm still going, but this is I a love triangle can be fun and bring things out in people. This one feels like to me, and I am making a value judgment, this one feels like it's plot filler, AKA lazy writing.
Because you're not questioning who she's gonna end up with.
And it's not even that because sometimes you can still be like, I know that like, it's rare that you're like, I genuinely don't know who you're gonna pick.
Yeah.
But the second male like, it becomes a second male lead, and there's, like,
Right, and
a
they're
reason to
compelling.
care, and they're
Yes.
compelling, and they're often scene stealers. In this case, I'm like, "What like, you're giving me nothing." Like, I really don't care. I guess I'm trying to be a little bit careful because I don't wanna get into, like, spoilers as to why, but I'm just saying I don't find when we talk about chemistry, and I think I defined chemistry last week, that to me, it's you have 2 people that are more interesting when you put them next to each other. There's, like, that spark, and all of a sudden you care. When I put these 2 together as character, and it's not even like, they're both fine actors. It's just, like, even, like, their characterization, I'm like, "I don't care." Like, I
Right,
don't
like,
care.
what like, the second lead is Pak So-ham, who we loved
Right.
From
in
Semantic Error, and
from
has, like,
Semantic
nothing
Error,
but
yeah.
charisma. I don't think he plays it, he's not given a lot to do. It just feels every time it happens, I can tell, like, that's when I'm picking up my phone, and if I'm picking up my
Yeah.
phone and I'm watching a drama, that means I'm not invested, and I'm gonna, like,
Yeah.
scroll Instagram and half watch.
Like, if you don't even care about the subtitles
Yeah, I'm like,
until the
I'm just
scene
I don't I'm
changes.
not gonna fast forward it yet, but I'm like, I
Yeah.
just don't really I'm gonna keep a loose eye, but I'm gonna start to look at BTS reels.
Yeah, because
How about you?
sometimes the second male lead, even if like I know they're not gonna end up together, I really like second male leads who still add something to like just the heroine's overall journey. Like
Yeah.
I think that and I think some dramas do that really well. I actually think Startup did that well. I think Good Boy had something to add to the heroine's journey. And so I think that that still works for me, but
Yes.
if he's just sort of like there to create just like an obstacle, then
Right.
that's boring. That's kind of boring.
Right. You want a second male lead to be somebody that you root for even though you know he's not gonna win
Yeah.
the the girl,
Yeah.
right? Like, another one that I think of is, like, Lovely Runner. Like, we loved the second male lead in Lovely Runner.
Do you mean My Lovely Liar or do you mean Lovely Runner?
I mean, Lovely Runner.
Okay, okay. I wasn't sure because you know how much
We love both of those.
yeah, you know how much we loved My
Yes.
Lovely Liar because I was
But,
actually
like
thinking that
but,
My
like, in
Lovely
Lovely
Liar
Runner, the second male lead who ends up, you know, growing up to be a cop,
right.
remember?
True.
He had growth, and he had his own journey, and he was so fun.
He
And
did. You're right.
we also had the in Lovely Runner, we had the sort of drunk bromance between the hero and the second male lead too.
Right. 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 I actually can't like I almost forgot about the Lovely Runner second male lead
Yeah.
until you just brought him up and I'm like, "Oh my god, yeah, the cop guy, he was so great."
He was so
He
great.
was
He was
so
so
great.
funny.
And My Lovely Liar was good too, but I think both of
Yes.
those, yeah, you felt invested in the second male lead just, like, as a person, but then I
Yes.
also think that their relationships mattered to the heroine. I think they still, like, added value to the heroine's life without being a love interest.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
100%. Yes, absolutely. Because it's when the second male lead has like the heroine's best interest in mind, whether or not he gets her, rather than just being there to be an obstacle, like you said.
And then wait, Amy, you didn't go yet, right? Because
No.
you yeah,
Yeah.
art of
So
yeah.
I was watching the Netflix thriller, The Art of Sarah, and with oh my gosh, why do I always forget names when I want to talk about it?
Shin Hae-sun?
Thank you. I was watching The Art of Sarah with Shin Hae-sun and Lee Jun-hyuk, and 8 episodes on Netflix, quick watch, they're all less than an hour. I did find the drama compelling. If you're in our Patreon, you will already have heard I recorded a little snack, for our Patreon, by the time this comes out, and, I didn't love the drama, I didn't hate the drama. Like, I found it compelling, I watched the whole thing, but and I don't think this is a spoiler because some people might feel differently. What let me down about the drama by the time I finished it, and for me, the resolution was fine. Like, I understood the resolution. I was not confused about anything, but I never found myself rooting for anybody in the drama. Like, the more that I learned about Sarah, the less I rooted for her. Um, and I think part of that is because we have pretty much zero backstory for her other than what happens in the drama. And then the same thing for Lee Jun-hyuk, who is Detective Park. Um, he's pretty to look at, and I love seeing him be all like serious Mr. Detective Man, but that's all you know about him is him trying to solve this case about Sarah. You know nothing about his outside life, nothing to sort of like relate to or, sort of grab onto to root for. And so I'm not gonna like, give anything away by saying like who quote unquote wins in the end. But I didn't care. was kind of what it came to. Like, I watched the whole thing and I was compelled to watch the whole thing and I wanted to know how it ended. So I guess, kudos to that. Like, I loved the production value. I loved the cinematography. And there were some very interesting, like, storylines. Um, but yeah, at the end, I just kind of felt like, so what? But yeah, I watched it pretty fast, to the extent where I went right after that. I was like, okay, now I need a romance. Like when I was talking about watching this, I was like, I'm writing a romance, I'm editing a romance. Like I'm too much in the romance world right now. I just need something to take my mind off of it. And then I finished The Art of Sarah, and I was like, I need a romance. So Sarah from Afternoon Asks and Gavin, from our Patreon, have been trying to get me to watch. Well, not trying to get me, just like have recommended, and I just haven't gotten to it yet. What Comes After Love, which is a K drama, or it's a drama that takes place half in Japan and half in Seoul. And we have a Japanese hero, Kentaro Sakaguchi, and our heroine, Korean, Lee Young. I loved this drama so much. This was only 6 episodes. So this is not like me trying to sell you on a first episode, but like the fact that I jumped right into this and then finished it in like 2 days, I think kind of says something for where I'm at as far as compelling dramas. Um, but yeah, I really needed a romance that really like sort of scratched the itch. Um, and yeah, I'm happy that I watched The Art of Sarah, but yeah, when I was done with it, it wasn't like I wasn't thinking about it after I finished it. I was just like, okay, onward.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've had dramas like that. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Um, if you guys did like that though, like you liked us watching episode 1 and then discussing, let us know, because that is obviously something that like is fairly easy for us to do, and it's a way for us to like bring up more K-dramas. So just let us know if that's like a format you want us to do again, cuz
And it also helps us get out of our sort of like out of our lane sometimes of like
yeah.
just doing our thing and get us to try something new. So,
Sometimes it just forces me to sit down and watch one episode if I'm feeling scattered and like I'm
yes.
not settled. I'm like, no, this forces me. And I sometimes like I don't look at it as work. I'm like, no, I'm glad that I'm like being forced to like sit down,
Yes.
watch an episode of good TV, and like
Yeah, because that is one thing I'll say when we did talk about our first episodes. Like, I was raring to go. Like, I watched the first episode. I was like, okay, good. I'm glad we did this. I
me too.
needed this. I
Me too.
want
It
to go
was
watch
fun.
episode 2 right away. And
Yeah,
like
it
I
was
said, it
fun.
was a compelling drama. I didn't care when I finished it like I thought I would.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you don't have anyone to really root for, then it makes it hard to care.
Anyway,
Okay. So as we talked about last week, we talked about chemistry last week, which was a really fun episode, I think, for all 3 of us. I know, like, I really enjoyed talking about that. So we kind of went over chemistry in K-dramas and how we write it, and is chemistry a formula? Is it vibes? Is it a combination of a lot of different things? Which I think was kind of our final answer was, yeah, it's vibes, but, like, you can help it along the way. Um, so as promised, tonight's episode, we are each taking a favorite couple of ours, and we're talking about why their chemistry worked for us. Um so first of all, if you didn't listen to last episode, I do recommend it only because I think it's going to give context on what we're talking about. But I am going to go over just real quick kind of like 5 topics we talked about that help in like aiding chemistry. So if you did listen to last week, I had said I watched a video on YouTube. It was called The Katie and Abby Show, and they're 2 sisters who are authors. And their video was titled 5 Hacks to Create Irresistible Chemistry. And so the 5 hacks or just techniques really that they talked about was which we talked about this again more in depth last week, so you can listen then. But the 5 of them are: force proximity of your leads, give them a common goal, give them vulnerability with each other, trauma share experience bonding, and then also caring for each other's injuries. And then, of course, we also had Amy chime in with an also necessary technique, which is banter. So I would say, like, in light of those things, I think maybe that's how we'll be like talking about the chemistry of the couples we're talking about today.
Yeah. So the three of us chose one couple from one drama that we thought basically embodied this idea of good chemistry, which I think is easy to say. Like, I think it's easy to automatically spark in your head, I know what couple I'm going to talk about. But then to actually like dive in and like uncover the why, it takes a little bit of work,
Yeah.
which I thought was fun because I went back and like watched key scenes and I was like, God, yes, I was totally right. you know?
Did too. I watched key scenes and then and then I was like getting sucked into watching this drama again.
Yes.
So I agree. It was actually really fun to kind of like do like a kind of a deep dive on like what made the chemistry good, and also if it was kind of like in line with what we talked about last week, like how we
Yes.
make good chemistry. You know what I mean? Sorry, I have it all
Yes.
written down in this notebook, and I'm like trying to put it where I can like read it as we talk. But
So
anyway.
that's a great idea. I have it on like a digital sticky note. And so just like a sidebar, and this can stay in the episode because we've been talking about like changing up our format for like how and where we record like in our houses. And I was just thinking about like I use my laptop for everything that we do right now.
Mhm.
And I was like, if we like do something more like comfy couches or comfy chairs, I'm gonna have to write down notes because I won't be, you know
Oh,
what I mean?
yeah, that's a
Because
good
like
point.
the laptop will just have to be stationary so that I can be all snuggly with my like cat on my lap or whatever.
Yeah. I do like writing note. I often do handwrite notes when we're talking. I don't know why,
I
when
have
we're talking about
terrible
stuff, but
handwriting. Like
so do
that's
I.
my
Oh, you
problem.
should see my notebook looks terrible. All right, so who wants to go first? Who wants to go first?
I
Don't
will.
Okay, good. Yeah, don't,
Yeah,
I was gonna say don't
nobody's
make me go
volunteering.
first.
Like, don't everybody jump up at once. So as soon as we decided on this topic, I was like, I know exactly who I want to do. Like, I really want to go back and watch this drama now. But how many episodes? Isn't this a 20 episode drama? I can't remember. So mine is Coffee Prince, and I'm talking about Gong Yu is Choi Han Kyul and Eun Hye-yeon as Go Eun Chan. Their chemistry was like out of the fucking world to me. And this was an early K drama in general, right? Because it's like from 2007, but an early drama in our drama watching days as well. And we talk about this all the time, and I'll bring it up again. Because Leah and I watched it before Megan did. And it's a drama that we almost dropped in the first couple of episodes because we were worried about the setup of like, I guess you could say like the chemistry between the leads, because it starts out, if you don't know Coffee Prince, um, Choi Han Kyul is a chaebol and he does not want to work for like the family company, which I believe is like, doesn't he end up like making like Lego bricks or something like that? Like that's what it is. And he instead wants to open this coffee shop that has all male servers in the coffee shop. That's what he wants to do. Meanwhile, his grandmother wants to set him up with the proper wife and, makes him go on all these blind dates. And to sabotage the blind dates, he hires who he thinks is a young man to burst in on these dates and pretend to be his lover so that all the women think that he's gay. And at first, I'm like, this is terrible. It's problematic. I don't understand. Everybody says this is such a great drama. But immediately, even in this weird situation, they have this sort of like brotherhood type of chemistry. And that is sort of the impetus then for the whole story is Han Kyul mistaking Eun Chan for a boy. When really, like we've talked about this when we did our deep dive on Coffee Prince, and I think it's come up since then, is that without saying so, we believe she's a non-binary character and is very well portrayed as one. And they have this immediate chemistry, and then that ends up becoming the catalyst for their story because he mistakes her for a man. She does not correct him. She needs a job, and he ends up offering her a job at his coffee house. Like didn't she just get fired? Like she's basically the breadwinner for her family. Her father passed away. She has a mother and a sister, and she's basically like the breadwinner. Like she's holding down the fort. So she gets this job and she's like, well, I can't tell him that I'm female because I'll lose the job. It has to be all men. And so she starts working at this coffee house and they develop a friendship, like a very like playful friendship almost immediately. Then they become what they call like sworn brothers. And you can see them getting closer. And as they get closer, there's more vulnerability. We've got the forced proximity. Um, and it is just, I think, like the ripest environment for this chemistry. What I mentioned last week is that I think you need to care about the two characters on their own as well as together. And I was very invested in both of them as single characters. And then also, as Leah has brought up, when those two characters are together, there's something even more, right? It brings you in even more. Something about when they're on screen together, that's when that certain like inexplicable magic happens too. Like even if you're using the hacks where you have the forced proximity, you have like the script, written vulnerability, there's something about when they come together that it's just magic. And I think that we have that with these two characters who are both very well written and these two actors who play it very well. And I want to bring up like a few scenes I think that kind of do this justice, and also talk a little bit about like a couple of improvised things that happen in some of these scenes. Because it shows you then also how comfortable these actors were with each other, that they could kind of play with that chemistry as their characters and go even deeper into these scenes. So, if you don't want to be spoiled for some of the best scenes in Coffee Prince, if you have not watched this 2007 drama, then fast forward until you get to Leah or Megan, because here I go. Okay. So, like I said, we have immediate chemistry when they're joining up for the con in the beginning, and then for her working at the coffee shop. Um, Continued like forced proximity because working in the coffee house together with worker owner, and then soon friends who like take lunch breaks together and chat about like basically just like life in general. Like they just start talking like friends because that's what they are. So it's a friends to lovers situation too, but it's a very confusing friends to lovers situation for Han Kuehl because Han Kuehl thinks that he is attracted to a man. And when we really see this sort of like come to a head is there is this whole like beach day, beach night scene. And what happens is they hang out and they talk about hanging out as brothers. They're sworn brothers. And that means that they can do things like hold hands. They flirt and say it's okay because they're just being like silly brothers. They decide to stay and watch the sunrise. And Eun-chan falls asleep with her head on Han Kuehl's lap. And then it goes forward a little bit, and it turns out he's big spooning her later when she rolls over. And without him saying a word, you see like the absolute anguish in his eyes as he's trying to reconcile his feelings. Like they've been flirting all day and saying things like, we can do this because we're brothers. It's okay that we're holding hands because we're brothers. Um, and when she's sleeping, he puts his hand on hers and kisses the back of her neck. Um, there's a song playing. I had to look up the song because I was like, this song is absolutely perfect. So I think when we're talking more about like helping to manufacture or helping to sort of hack that chemistry, I think when we're talking about something visual, um, like visual media, when you have a great like musical score, that absolutely helps as well. And the song is Across the Ocean by Azure Ray. And it's the soundtrack for this beach scene. And it's like very melancholy sounding. And it's got a line that keeps repeating. And the line is this the right time? And it keeps repeating, is this the right time? Is this the right time? Um, and Han Kuehl is basically telling a sleeping Eun-chan, like, this has to end. Like, this can't happen. And she eventually wakes up. It's sunrise. He drives her home and she's like all like giddy, like, hey, we had such a fun day. And he's like, I can't see you anymore. And she's like, yeah, whatever. And she thinks he's joking and she gets out of the car and leaves. And he's like, well, fuck. Like, I just missed my opportunity to like basically save myself. So fast forward to my second favorite scene, which is their first kiss in the cafe. Eun-chan is working on a mural. She's painting a mural because she's an artist. And Han-kyul walks in and she's like, what's up? Because there's nobody else there. They're closed. She's just painting. And he says to her, this is the translation, obviously, but he says to her, just once, I'm going to say this just once. So listen carefully. I like you. I don't care whether you're a man or an alien anymore. It's too damn hard to get over you. So let's just do this. And he's smiling when he says it. Like there's no more anguish on his face. He's just like, I like you. Whoever you are, I like you. And they kiss. And it's fantastic. Okay. I'm not going to ruin everything for you about like when the truth comes out, but the truth does eventually come out, right? And that is what kind of pulls our couple apart for like a little bit of the third act breakup, aside from like an actual like distance breakup. But there is a sort of third act breakup there. But when everything is sort of reconciled, he knows who she is. Um, they're a couple. There's a scene at his apartment, and this is the last one that I'm going to talk about because this is where we get to the sort of ad-libbing that happens here. And they talk about this because there's like a Coffee Prince reunion that's also on Viki, I believe, where they get together. It is it 10 years later? 2007? No, because was it 10 years later? I don't remember when that was.
I don't
It might
remember
have
how.
been. I
Yeah.
don't remember. 10 or 15 years later, and they do a reunion and they talk about some of these key scenes. So the apartment scene is. So again, spoiler for what's coming towards the end, but I've already spoiled pretty much the whole drama. She is going to be studying abroad in Italy, I believe. And she's at her house, he's at his apartment, and she's like, I miss you. I want to come over. And she goes over to his apartment and she's trying to find every reason in the world to stay. Like she's like chugging glasses of wine. She's touching all the stuff. She's bouncing a basketball around the apartment. She's looking at his records and he's like, you need to go. Cause he's trying to like save her virtue, I guess, or whatever. He's like, you need to go. Like, you need to go. Like, we'll see each other tomorrow. You need to go. And he literally picks her up, puts her outside the apartment, closes the door. She bangs on the door. She's like, you have my shoes. Like, I need my shoes. And so he opens the door a crack and she sticks her head in. And it's so cute and it's so funny. And they're so playful, just like they were when they were like sworn brothers, because it was a very playful relationship. And I think that helps with the chemistry too, when people can be playful with each other. Then she pops her head back in and he's like, I'm warning you, if you come back in, I'm not letting you go home tonight. And she bursts in. He slams the door, picks her up, slams her against the door, and starts kissing her. And it is one of my favorite kisses in all of K-drama history. And here's where the sort of ad-libbing or improvising comes in. And it's one of the things that when they were going back and watching it at the reunion, she's like, oh my God, I can't believe I did this. And he's carrying her to the bed and she starts pulling his shirt up in the back and puts her hands under his shirt. And she was so like more like not mortified, but like embarrassed when they were rewatching the scene. She's like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. I don't know what I was thinking. But like, that's when you've got not just like chemistry as characters, but they have and vulnerability as characters, but they were comfortable enough to be vulnerable with each other as actors that she was able to do that in the moment. And I think that's really where some really great chemistry comes in, is when you as actors trust each other to just go all in as the characters and see what happens. And I think because of that, we got some very real feeling scenes between these two, even before they were a couple, because I think they trusted each other enough to have that vulnerability. And yeah, I mean, like when we said we're going to talk about chemistry, I'm like, this is my top choice, like who I wanted to talk about. And I can't, like, watching these few scenes, I was like, good God, why am I not rewatching this drama? It's so good. So good. But just go
Okay.
look those scenes up on YouTube because they're just so fun to watch.
It was a great choice. Their chemistry is fantastic. And it's been so long since I've watched it, but as you're talking about it, like the memories are coming back. And yeah, I mean, the chemistry was amazing, the entire drama.
Love it. Coffee Prince.
Okay, so I am going to talk, and I think I'm going to talk a little bit, probably a little bit more generally about this drama because I'm gonna do a podcast on it. And so I don't wanna, like, give away all my goods yet because this is something that is so I'm talking about The Red Sleeve because I just saw it. I have not hidden the fact that for me, this was a very successful drama. In fact, it's a drama that the more I think about it, the more I like it, which is always a good sign. So there's so many dramas that we've seen lately that are like, I watched it and then I forgot about it. This one just sits in my head and I think about it daily and I like unpack all the reasons why.
I love that.
But for today, I'm just going to talk about it in terms of chemistry. I will do some spoilers. I'm not going to go heavy in spoilers, but if you want completely nothing, I fully respect that, but you'll wanna skip ahead. Just know that I'm not gonna, like, heavily, like, dig up every plot point or anything like that. So I'm going to start by just kind of talking about just, like, the high level, like, what's this drama about? So The Red Sleeve is, historical K-drama. It's set in 18th century Joseon, and it's the love story between Crown Prince Yi-san, who's played by Lee Jun-ho very well. So, I mean, part of the chemistry in this drama is Lee Jun-ho just is Lee Jun-ho. Like, it's like one of those, like, truisms. He is very good at it. And then it's court lady Sung Duk Im. So a court lady not being kind of like a genteel woman of leisure, like a noble woman. This is essentially like, a maid who is charged with working in the palace. And the court maids are all seen as like his ladies. So they cannot get married, they cannot have children, they cannot have sexual relations with other men except unless the king selects you to be a concubine. So they are all there at the king's pleasure, full stop. Um, he is very ambitious. He also is carrying a lot of trauma that is justifiable. Like there's deep family trauma. And she is very sharp and witty. She's very independent and she values her freedom above all else. And I'm going to say that sometimes that trope can feel a little wearisome to me. Like, girl, like this happens in romantasy a lot. And there's like whole memes making fun of it where it's like, I am an 18-year-old plucky girl. And how dare this 300-year-old prince like snatch me up and give me a life of leisure? I want to fight and whatever. So I sometimes I'm like, really, girl, really? But in this case, I feel like they do a good job of unpacking because there would be times where I'd be like, girl, really? Like, you want to be a maid? And I mean, I'm being sarcastic because people listening to this are going to like, I'm not trying to like I take this drama very seriously and I will take it seriously when I do a podcast on it. But there would be times sometimes where I'd be like, you want to be doing you want to be doing maid shit or you want to be like doing sitting on your ass laying around concubine shit. Cause sometimes like, especially when I'm sitting on a pile of chores, I'm like, somebody could concubine my ass up too. It's freaking real. Um, but anyway, it makes sense why she values like her freedom and her independence such as it exists, which she does not have a lot of. Um, what is interesting is it is based on a real history of King Jongjo and his beloved consort, Uibin Sung, and so I think that is also interesting. So it is adapted from like, it's like speculating, but it is like a lot of the bigger plot points did happen. Yes, they're like making some inferences of some of the things behind the scenes, but the thrust of this romance or it's not a romance. The thrust of this story does have like historical context that I'll get into not right now when we're talking about chemistry. So I will say that I'm going to go through 5 things because I went and did some homework and I thought about like what were 5 devices I think this drama used to make the chemistry really kind of stand out. I'm not going to use an example for every one because I don't want to like be here all night, but I will give some examples to some of the points I'm making. So the first one is and this may or may not be controversial. To me, that power gap is a chemistry amplifier. The fact that like he's a crown prince and then the king, and she's essentially like court lady, aka like palace property. So there is like every kind of like romantic moment carries this undercurrent of like, should this kind of even be happening? And like when he pursues her, there's desire, but also this pressure that like she can't escape. And when she resists, to me, she's not playing coy. Like, she's not just like being like, oh, like, I'm going to push you back so you want me more. Like, she has this line that she says, which is, I am yours. Cause she is. She's like essentially palace property. She is seen as like the king's woman. I'm yours, but you can never be mine. Because as a king, he belongs to the entire country, but he also, he's going to have a queen. He's going to have to, like she is not like he is can be her everything. He can never be her everything. And that creates and that tension builds through the drama. You start much more lighthearted and that tension builds as it goes. So that framework becomes kind of a box. And when you put them into that in like a forced proximity, it kind of creates, yeah, I think something that like charges all the tension and the drama. Um and she does have like one scene where she has this thing where she's like, I am your person, because she just is, even if she like has feelings or not, like she just, even if she didn't like him at all, she is his person. But she's like, but not everything that is mine is yours. And she makes this very distinct throughout the whole drama that there's like that Bruce Springsteen song, that like Secret Garden or something, where he's like, you can like love this person, you can have all these things, you can possess all these parts of her, but she's going to have like a secret garden that's kind of like hers. I feel like this drama kind of leans into that idea. It's like, she's like, I have to keep something for me so I can survive in this world, because if I give you everything, I have nothing anymore. So it doesn't feel like this, again, like artificial device of like, I just can't love you. Like, it does feel like there's like a core part of her identity, but that because of that, it creates like much more tension that like amplifies the chemistry. And then we talked about vulnerability as being a tool that can be used. Lee Jung-ho's character, San, is very composed. He can be a little bit arrogant, and this is all kind of armor he has to wear, because like those palace environments, as you know, can eat you alive. Like, people are back channeling, people are out to get you. But what happens is that the show will peel away that armor in front of Duk Im's character, and only her. And so he has internal conflict. Like, his grandfather can be erratic, or his grandfather can be scary sometimes. Like, does my grandfather love me? Will my grandfather kill me today? Those are tensions he has to live with. His father had a series of unfortunate events happen to him. He also did very horrible things. So he grieves his father, but he also wants to do right. But also he has this one court maid who sees who he is as a man, just not as a monarch. And I think that is something that becomes, and what's interesting is she has moments of vulnerability, but she maintains a much stronger walled presence around him. He is much more vulnerable to her, but I think that also helps that power imbalance, because technically he owns her. And so because of that, she gives him less vulnerability, but he gives her a lot more vulnerability.
I like that
Um,
distinction.
Yep.
When you have a power imbalance, I like
yeah,
it.
yeah, it helps. They also have, okay, so this is one thing that I think is important. They've got what's the shared goal? And here's something that I really think that in this drama, I do think they have a shared goal, because a lot of it is about how they don't, but I think that fundamentally they do. And I think that Isan and Duk Im actually want a life that's defined by choice, not just the systems that they're born into. And so I think for him, it's very important for him to become kind of a reformist king. And, he's not perfect. It's not like every choice he makes is the most noble. And it's not like there's ever any downsides to his choices. But I do think that in his heart and in his choices, he's trying to make ethical, good choices. He's trying to do the right things in a very confined situation. And for her, she wants freedom, which is a life where she's not just someone's concubine waiting her turn. And so it's a similar desire, opposite expressions, and it creates a lot of tension, because for him to kind of do what he's going to do, which is be his best embodied self, he needs her closer. Like she anchors him, she settles him, she kind of gives him reason and like motivation to keep going. And for her, he is essentially like the thing that traps her, even though she loves and cares about him. And so they have they have a shared goal, but it also is a goal that puts them in opposition.
Mm.
Um, I think another thing is that they have really opposite emotional registers. So the crown prince is very intelligent, he's quite proud. Um, and then she's kind of like that plucky, ingenious, headstrong character. And but then what's fascinating is that that's how they kind of show up. But in their relationship, he is much more open. He is much more like, you are my person. I want to be with you. I love you. Like, I want you here." And she is all walls to him. So to the world and to her friends and to everyone, she is that plucky person. But to him, she walls that shit up. Whereas he's the one that's just like, ah. And again, it's that power dynamic speaking to it. But I think it makes it very interesting from I think there's like a chemistry gold mine to that, to be honest. And then I will say that, let me think if I can think of like, yeah. So here's a really great example for this is in one of the earlier episodes, they come to know each other by him hiding his identity. She works as a maid in the library and she does transcribing and she manages the books. And he basically pretends to be like one of the crown prince's like close confidants that's kind of got a name around campus. And
Mm.
so she thinks he's like someone else. She doesn't know he's the prince. And because of that, her guard's way down. Like she bitches to him about her day, blah blah, and he like leans into that relationship and they actually like they give each other quite a lot of shit, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit in my next point because there's a lot of humor in that relationship. But when he's in the king mode and he encounters her, she's not making eye contact with him because it's the king. And so he can like do some things to artfully hide himself, but like, there's times where she's engaging with him and he's like hiding his face or doing things and she doesn't know that this is the same person. So there's a scene where they encounter each other and he tries to hide they're on a bridge and he's like, somebody give me a fan. So he gets a fan and he's basically hiding his face with a fan. So like she can't see his face. And she looks down in the water and sees his reflection because he's got the fan, but
Oh,
she looks down because she's keeping her head down because it's the king. When she looks down, she's like, it's the fucking dude. Like that's
yeah.
his face in the water. And they lock eyes in the water. And I think that it's kind of this perfect metaphor for their dynamic because he's trying to conceal himself and she sees right through it. And yeah, I think that that's kind of like a fun moment there.
I
And
love
then the
I
that.
like that a
humor,
lot.
yeah, there's a lot
That's
of
a great
very
scene.
beautiful cinematography that happens. And then the beginning does have a lot of humor to it. So they're not just like ever staring longingly at each other, blah, blah, blah. They are annoying the fuck out of each other. They are teasing each other. They are super petty with each other. And what that gives, honestly, is like these are two people that really just like each other as people. And because of that, I think that it grounds the romance in something that's like real and relatable because later the show gets much heavier and a lot more of like that real world and those real obligations kind of creep in to like, kind of damper down like the fun and games of it. But because you have all this like built up like rapport early that made you care deeply, it feels like all that humor becomes very foundational. Like the drama builds itself on this. Like you truly believe they really like each other. Like they're not just like lusty for each other. Like there's clear reasons why they like and respect each other and they get each other's goat. And so in the early episodes in the library where she has like no idea she's dealing with the crown prince, she has so many funny like at one point she like chases him out with a broom and like throws salt in his face. And then he's like banging on the door, like, how dare you? And she like opens up the door and she just has like a handful of salt and she's like like right in his face and then like locks the door on him. And then later she has to write the king an apology letter and she has no idea that the person she's dealing with in the library is the king. And so the king keeps rejecting her because she fancies herself quite a good writer. And so she's writing these apology letters to the king for this like wrong. And he just she'll go meet him and he's like behind a screen and he'll just take like a red paint and just like X out shit. and like throw the letter back. And so she keeps like having to like get the letter, and they go back and forth like like 10 times or something. And then she'll go back to the library to have to like rewrite this letter, and he'll be in there and she's like, what the fucking, like, so she's getting all upset. And meanwhile, he's just tormenting her on like like he's sitting there listening to her, knowing full well that when she comes back, he's going to like be like red penning her whole apology letter for like the, 10th time or whatever. And so it's like a fun shtick that happens, but it also puts them into this thing of like, yeah, they have this like really strong rapport. And again, I think that's what makes the poignant parts that come later land and hit a lot. So I'm going to say that the red sleeve fundamentally just doesn't bank on like its leads being charming. Like, again, Lee Jun Ho, this is I'm going to say it's better than Rain or Shine. Like for me, for him as a character, and that's like not an easy call. Like these are all good. It's kind of hard to rank. I'm just saying that like to me, this was a really complicated role. He was, not to minimize Rain or Shine and be like, oh, he was just damaged, because he played that very holistically. But in this, there's many, many notes he's having to hit. And the emotional notes to me feel complex. Um, and so I think that they don't rest on that, though. I think they use power dynamics, vulnerability, a shared but incompatible goal. They have very different emotional registers, and then they have that like humor to like build the foundation. And so I think the chemistry is constructed by the characterization and the plot, but when you put these people in their orbit, they just make each other more every single time.
That
I
sounds
love that.
great. And I love you bringing up humor, because we didn't really talk about that last week. And like characters that can be funny together, like that's great chemistry as well. That can bring out like that, especially when it's that sort of um oppositional humor too.
Right. Right. I can't wait till your full pod on it, because I think sounds like you have a lot of really cool stuff to say about it.
Yeah, I will say I don't know if this is the drama for either of you, but I think that you could, I guess I would say, consider it, because it might surprise you. To me, it's a very, very smart drama.
But it's not a romance.
It is not a romance. I will say though that if you want I'm not going to give any big spoilers, but if you want no spoilers at all, click ahead. I'm not going to like give away any points of the plot. I'm going to talk about like an emotion that you have at the end. To me, I really felt like I was surprised by by a choice that was made at the end, and it landed in a way that made me personally feel lighter about the drama than I expected.
Okay.
And so I knew where this drama was going without even looking. Like I knew already it wasn't a romance. But even if I knew that, watching it, it didn't take long before I was like, I think I would have just known it wasn't a romance, like it
Yeah.
just gave
Yeah.
vibes where I was like,
Mhm.
this is going to end up hurting me in some way.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but in the end, and I'm going to unpack why, when I talk about it in the pod, why I think like it definitely doesn't end on a romantic, it doesn't end where I'm like, no, now it's a romance, but it ended. Do you know what it did? It gave me, at the end of the red sleeve, what I think and I'm like, because people were so mad that I was because I people were very upset with my reaction to Dear Hong Rong.
Oh, well,
but
but
and I
there
think
was extenuating circumstances.
but what the red sleeve gave me at the end is what I think I would have wanted from the end of Dear Hong Rong, if that makes sense.
Okay.
I think I got that from Dear Hong Rong.
Yes, and I did not, but what I wanted at the end of Dear Hong Rong is what I think I got at the end of the red sleeve.
Fair. Fair.
And I
Okay.
wasn't expecting to get it maybe too. So that's also maybe where like you're like I was expecting to be bereft, and instead I was like, "Oh, interesting.
Okay.
I need to think
Yeah.
about this choice, but I'm not mad about this choice." Whereas at the end of Dear Hunger, I kept telling you I was like watching it to the credits being like, "Am I like what am I
Right.
missing?"
There's one more scene. There's one
Right.
more
I was
scene,
like,
right?
I was actually like, I think I felt the way you did at Red Sleeve at the end, because Dear Hong Rong for me was like satisfying. But yeah, so I get
Yeah,
it.
and I get it, and I do understand that, and I'm not pushing back
Yeah.
all
No.
the
No.
people who
No.
were mad that I didn't love it. Like I do believe the end of Dear Hong Rong was a successful ending.
Right. No, I'm saying I get why you're saying that about Red Sleeve, and, like, I respect that. And, like, I'm glad also that that's what you got as
And
well.
I'm gonna be curious because just hearing a little bit of chatter around it, I'm curious to see if other people took what I took at the end the same, because I felt like listening to some people unpack things, I was like, "Oh, this is where I thought it was gonna go," but to me, it ended up going a little bit it went somewhere different. And again, I'm not mad about the choice. I was surprised by the choice, but where I believe the drama ended up going and the way I interpret it, yeah, was a surprise. I'm going to stop talking because it's boring to talk about things when I can't be specific, and I'm not going to be specific until I do the pod. Okay, take us home.
All right, it's my turn. Um, so when we decided to do this assignment, this is the first couple that came to mind, and I'm really not trying to be special or precious about this or be different. This is literally who I thought of first. And we talked about in the chemistry episode that, like, maybe it's not going to be romantic. Maybe it's not a romantic couple. There's multiple forms of chemistry, and the chemistry I want to talk about, which remains stuck with me so deeply embedded in my soul, is from Weak Hero Class 1, and that is Yeon Si-hun, played by Park Ji-hoon, and An Soo-ho, played by Choi Hyun-uk. Um, their chemistry in Weak Hero Class as friends, again, this is the first season, which is 8 episodes on Netflix. Their chemistry is what made this drama. There's like no other way around it. I think without their chemistry, this drama may have felt like really unnecessarily like violent and brutal without the heart. But because of their relationship, this drama had so much heart. So just FYI, Weak Hero Class 1, it's brutal and violent. It's set in a high school. There are like 2 adults in the entire drama, and one's a drug dealer. I mean, there's no adults anywhere supervising anything. There's no well, there's supposed to be teachers, but like you never see them. Um, but it's basically it's a drama about school bullying. And kind of like friendships, different forms of friendships. I mean, uh it's a lot. I really resisted watching this for a long time. But then I watched it, and every once in a while my Instagram algorithm will like give me clips, and then all of a sudden I'm like in it again. Then I'm like, I want to watch this drama again. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the first meeting between An Soo-ho, or I'm just going to say Suho and Si-hun. So again, Suho is played by Choi Hyun-uk. He's like a trained fighter, so I think he had been like probably trying to do some sort of like trained fighting as a high school student, got an injury, and also he has to work 3 jobs, so he's not really like doing it anymore. So he basically like, but everyone knows he can fight. Like everyone knows he's the best fighter in the school. And then you have new student Si-hun, played by Park Ji-hoon. And Si-hun he wants to be left alone. He doesn't want people to look at him. He doesn't want people to talk to him, and he definitely doesn't want people to touch him. So he just wants to be left alone. He just wants to study and graduate.
We don't have a touch phobia, do we?
He doesn't have a touch phobia, but it's like he does not like when you touch him, but it's not a touch phobia.
I do love not getting touched.
Right? It's we all love a touch phobia. Shout out to I Am Not a Robot. So the first meeting, which I have talked about on this pod before, but they're in a classroom. Again, I don't know where the teacher is. It doesn't matter. And the whole baseball team comes in, and they want to fight Suho because they think Suho was like flirting with one of the guy's girlfriends. And it's like 6, 7 baseball players with baseball bats and Suho, but of course Suho just dominates them all, because that's like, you need to know that about the drama right away, is that Suho is like a very dominant fighter. And of course the entire classroom like scatters, okay? Because they're like this, like the whole like desks are flying. There's baseball bats going everywhere. So like all the students either leave the classroom or they're like pushed up to the side. Okay. And so the fight ends when a teacher finally shows up and like comes in. Or I don't actually remember how the fight ends. It doesn't matter. And sort of when the dust clears, the baseball players leave. And the only person still sitting at their desk, kind of towards the front of the room, is Si-hun. And like everyone else is like, oh, Suho, because he's a great fighter. Sehun's just irritated. Sehun's just like, you messed up my stuff. Like he doesn't say anything, but he's just staring at Suho. And there's this moment where this is the thing for me with chemistry is when the two characters look at each other, I need it to feel like they're the only two people in a crowded room. And that's the way this feels. They lock eyes. They look at each other. And there's just intense eye contact. And it's like no one else is in this classroom. And immediately too, you get this idea that like Sehun's not like the other girls. Okay. And like, so Suho notices, Sehun's not like the other girls. He's not scattering. He's not like scared. He's also not impressed. He's not impressed. He doesn't care that Suho can like beat an entire baseball team. He's like, you messed up my studying and you dropped my pencils on the floor right in front of my salad. Like he's like
I
not
love that so much.
he's like not happy. But Suho, like again, Suho could just like destroy Sehun right there. He could just like punch him. This is a violent school. Instead, Suho picks up his pens, puts them back in his little case, puts it on Sehun's desk, and he's like, Miyane. Like, and he's really sorry. Like you feel sincere. And from then on, like Suho is watching Sehun. Like again, he's not like the other girls, and Suho's keeping an eye on him. And Suho also has like an inner morality that you can also see readily that like he doesn't like bullying. So if he does see someone get bullied, and especially Sehun, who he's like taking an interest in, he's gonna stick up for him. But Sehun is very resistant to this because Sehun is like, don't talk to me, don't make friends with me. Like he wants to just be a loner. And they actually have a fist fight at one point. Like Sehun kind of like baits him into it, but and Suho is not going to hit him. Like Suho's like, I'm not going to hit you because I know I could destroy you. I'm just not going to do it. And of course, Sehun takes that like personally because he's like, fight me back, But a teacher breaks it up, but it's still that there's this like, I think Suho likes it because he got attention then from Sehun. Like there's this like, there's attention. He's like, I finally made a connection with him. But they keep like running into each other, of course. I mean, they're in forced proximity. They're in a school. They're in the same school. They're in the same classroom. And Sehun is being targeted by some of these like bullies. And so Suho like cannot keep himself like out of it. And they eventually kind of come to this sort of like, what's like a truce in a way. Like
you've sold me really.
I know that's because it's literally that good. Like their chemistry is that good. And like at one point, Sehun's riding a bus, looking out the window, looking like just like the world is on his shoulders. And Suho, who's just like peppy, working 3 jobs, just like always got a smile, pulls up next to him. And they're kind of like talking, like he pulls up next to him in a motorcycle and they're like talking through the window. And it's because they had kept running into each other a lot. And Suho makes this joke like, were we married in our past life? And it's like this, like, it sounds casual, but like the way the dialogue comes out, it kind of like hits you. Because they don't talk I mean, they do talk a lot, but the dialogue is done sparingly and the dialogue matters. And so you kind of get this like instant, like, are we soulmates? Are we soulmates?
They have Inyan.
What did you say?
They have Inyan.
They do.
From past lives.
And so they have a common goal because what happens is, I'm not going to get into like the nitty gritty of like how they draw the ire of this like local drug dealer. It doesn't matter. But basically this drug dealer kind of like targets them in a way and is like trying to extort money from them. So they're brought in there. So then they have a common enemy now at this point. Okay. And because they have this common enemy, they're around each other a lot. So the more forced proximity, and they're finding like they're getting to know each other. So of course Sehun like sees that Suho works 3 jobs. And they have this like trauma bonding over this like fight with these
I did not expect to want to watch this drama.
Yeah, like they basically like the drug gang is like no joke, okay? And so they definitely have like these moments where they're like trauma bonding over getting like the shit kicked out of them. And so they're constantly like physically vulnerable around each other, but it also leads them to be like emotionally vulnerable around each other. There's also this really good scene. So the thing about Suho is he's like, despite working, Sihun is like very like in his feels and emo like all the time, and Suho maybe has more to be emo about, but he's like just living his life, and he loves to eat. He like eats with gusto, and he eats kind of gross because he's just like shoving food in his mouth. And there's a scene where they're making like this, I think like the sambal, where you like make the lettuce wrap. And again, Sihun doesn't like to be touched. Don't touch him. And Suho's just like, here, I made it for you. And Sihun's like, do not, like, just shakes his head, like, don't put that in my mouth. And Suho's like, open. And he just shoves the lettuce wrap in his mouth, like fingers and all. And it's like, it doesn't seem like a big scene because you see that happen in K-dramas all the time, but they built it up for that to be, that's actually kind of like a really pivotal moment because like background music kicks in and you just kind of have Sian just like looking at Suho in a new light because Suho is like teaching him how to live. Like Suho's like teaching him how to enjoy life. Suho's teaching him how to be a friend. Sihyun's never had a friend in his life. And all of a sudden he's got this like larger than life friend who's like popular and cares about him and is willing to like physically defend him. And they sacrifice for each other repeatedly. Like this happens, like, you know, the trope, like touch him and die energy.
How BL is this?
It's not BL. That's what I'm
I
saying.
know, but I'm like,
but you feel it. They're soulmates. Like it is touch him and die energy for each of them. So there's one point where Suho's like, look, I'm going to go with these. Don't like, no one tell Sihyun, but I'm going to get in the car with these these like drug dealers, and I'm going to get them away from Sihyun, and like, I'll deal with it. And of course, Sihyun finds out, and he's pissed that Suho like sacrificed himself. But so the drug dealers have Suho. Of course, they like beat him up. They like break his arm, and then they take him to a second location. Sihyun goes to that first place where he was initially beat up, and like he sees the blood on the floor of his best friend, and you can see it's like a very pivotal moment in the drama where Sihyun changes. He sees like the blood of Suho, and he's just like, I'm not fucking around anymore. Like, I'm not fucking around. You drew blood, and I am gonna kill you. I mean, it's like, it's a really like the energy of him after that happens is pivotal.
can we fanfic that this is BL?
And probably I guarantee
I mean,
there is.
like,
So
I feel like I need this to just like in my head be headcanon.
I know.
Not, like,
and this happens. I'm gonna talk about one more scene because this to me, a lot happens in this drama. Like I'm only up to like episode 4, and there's like 8 episodes in the first. But and again, it's not a romance, so I can't really say that. There's obviously no like consummation. There's no kiss. There's no whatever. But to me, there's another very pivotal scene where like the chemistry between these two is just chemistrying so hard. I watched this scene again and got like butterflies. So after Suho, you know, he'd been beat up, arm had been broken, but Sihyun comes to the rescue. Okay, so like there's a little bit of peace in their world. They get beat up again, awful later. I'm not even getting into that. But at this point, Suho's in the hospital. I think he has like a broken arm or he has something, but he's in the hospital and he's awake. He's just like, he needs treatment. And he'd been again, he loves food. And he'd been talking for a while about how he had like this craving for this specific soup. I could not remember the name of the soup. I'm sorry. So I'm just going to say it's soup. Okay. He had a craving for this soup. So of course, Sihyun shows up, and there's a friend of theirs in like the other bed. Like she's there, but like no one's really paying attention to her. Sihyun got her like some McDonald's, but he doesn't give a shit about her. I mean, he does kind of. They're friends, but he only has eyes for Suho. So he comes in, and Suho kind of like sits up in the bed, and he drops the soup in a bag, and then just sits on the other bed and just stares at Suho. And Suho's like, "What'd you do? What is this? What is this?" And he like opens up the bag, and he takes off the lid, and he sees that it's the soup that he's been craving for like I don't even know, 3 episodes.
This
Okay?
is so romantic.
It's
Yeah,
so
I'm like,
romantic.
I gotta unpack this at the end. I'm sorry.
And Suho, he looks at the soup and he looks at Sihun and he goes, this is translated obviously, but he's like, "What is this feeling? I just got chills." He says, "I just got chills."
They're in love.
You need to look at Park Ji-hoon's eyes in Weak Hero Class to understand like his eyes, because there is something extremely unique about the way he looks in this drama. Just the eye contact he makes. So Suho actually says to him, so Sion's just sitting there on the other bed, just staring at him with his soup. And Suho says, "Your eyes and face." And then he says, "It's making me cringe." But like, it's not. It's because Sihun's like staring him down. And then for the first time, and the only time in the whole drama, Sihun smiles. That's it. It's the only time he smiles. He doesn't smile again until season 2, and I'm not telling you why, but it has to do with Suho. Okay?
I know
So when you
why, because
finish this
you've
drama,
spoiled
were
it for
you
us
like,
before.
when you finish this drama, were you like, this is Sam and Frodo shit from Lord of the Rings, where like, you know, it's not on the screen, but like we know.
It's yeah, like they're soulmates. Like it's so hard to explain to you.
Like I like when it's I like when I can flesh out that romance in my head.
So I'm not going to spoil the end of season 1, but something not great happens, and Suho is not in season 2. Okay? Well,
He is.
Suho is in the background of every scene
Yes.
because Sihun lives for Suho. Like, I can't explain to you how Suho is not on screen in season 2, and yet he's in every fucking scene. And it's
Is this at the end of, is this a tragedy?
No,
no, not at the end of
told
part 2.
us.
Not at the end of part 2.
Why do I know the whole thing? Were you not there when she spoiled it? I know
You
the
might
whole
have, and I
story.
might have checked out because I didn't
Do you
care,
want me to
but now I'm
spoil it
very
real
invested.
quick? I can spoil it and people can skip ahead.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know it because I think
I
it's
didn't
good.
care before, and I care now.
Okay, I'm gonna spoil the
And I'm
end
gonna
of.
see it, but spoil it anyway.
It won't matter if I spoil it for you because I know you. But okay, so I'm gonna say the end of season 1 and season 2 right now. So skip ahead like 30 seconds. At the end of season 1, again, Suho tries to sacrifice himself for Sihun because Sihun sacrificed himself for Suho. Then Suho does it again. Gets beaten so badly, he gets put into a coma. And that's how season 1 ends, with Suho in a fucking coma. Okay? Season 2, Sihun skips schools, but he's constantly visiting Suho, like in the hospital. Like he's visiting Suho, not Suho's still in a coma. The very last scene. So then Sihun develops more friends in season 2. I actually really like season 2. At the end, he gets a call about Suho and he runs to the hospital. Just runs. Doesn't even talk to his friends, just fucking takes off and runs. Gets to the hospital. His friends there's like 3 of them and they're kind of like following behind. And there in the front lawn of the hospital is Suho in a wheelchair. He's awake and he's wearing Sihun's sweatshirt. And
This is
he looks at Sihun and he's like, he just smiles and he's like, "So you made friends." Because that's all he ever wanted for Sihun, was to fucking make friends and live his life. It's insane. Okay, I'm done now. It's spoiling.
Watch this in a heartbeat if it wasn't violent.
But it's extremely violent.
Yeah.
But the chemistry between Choi Hun-wook and Park Ji-hoon is absolutely insane. And again, if this drama did not have that chemistry, it would have been fine, I guess, and watchable. I just think it would have been very brutal. It would have felt like a Mercy for None, which was like you're just beating up people for like action purposes or whatever. Just like the chemistry in My Name was very good, and you kind of needed that, in my opinion, to like really carry it through. That's, to me, that was this relationship, and it was they're soulmates. Like, I don't know how else to tell you how much they're soulmates. Everyone in this drama orbits around their relationship. Like, are there other characters? Do they have this like other friend who ends up being like he ends up being like the antagonist? Yes, but like the core relationship is always Sihun and Suho. and what they're willing to do for each other, and um like yeah, what they're willing to do for each other. There's like a scene where Suho teaches Sehun how to fight, and that's a really cute scene too. Because Suho's funny. Like that's the thing that like there is humor in this drama because Suho's a funny guy and he's really likable. Um, and he sort of brings that out in Sehun a little bit, but Sehun is Sehun, and that's just like the way he is.
Leah, have you ever seen a Choi Hanuk drama? You're missing out.
I'm
I
gonna
mean, I
watch
will
this.
say
Feel like this is
I
like
think
a
you would
BL.
like We Carol Class. I think We Carol Class 2 is also really good. There's also some really good I will say though, it is a sausage fest. I mean, there are like no women, there are very few women. There's like one sort of like I mean, there's that's you just have to be prepared. Like this isn't a feminist manifesto. Like it's straight up like
Not
bros.
going to pass the Bechdel test.
It's not going to pass the Bechdel test. It's bros being bros, hurting each other. Um in season 2, there's this really aesthetic fight scene that's really cool because it's in the rain. So there's like two opposing factions of like high school boys, okay? And it's raining and they all have umbrellas. And so they're like approaching each other. It feels a little like, I don't know, maybe West Side Story or like where they're like tromping through the rain on the way to like the fight sort of. And but they all have it's like the umbrellas. And then the fight starts and they all toss their umbrellas and just like run to each other. And it's like, "Rawr!" Like it's crazy. It's aesthetically, it's a beautiful drama, I think, despite the violence. Um, but again, the chemistry between these two characters takes my breath away. Um, and of course, now that I was like looking up some stuff about the drama to like do this tonight, Instagram's like, "Oh, you want clips?" So now I'm like brought back into the freaking cycle where I'm the weak hero class cycle where I can't get out of it. So,
I mean, you sold me very hard on this.
yeah, it's incredible. That's all I got to say. It's the like of all the romance dramas I watched, and I'm not saying that like this has better chemistry than some romance dramas I watched. I'm not saying that, but it was like when we talked about who had good chemistry, this was actually the first. It was the first.
But I feel it when you talk about it. Like I
Yeah.
haven't even seen this drama and I feel the chemistry. So
Yeah,
I believe it.
It's that good. I don't know. I don't know if I convince anyone to watch it. I know. Yeah, I mean, other than yeah, I know our list. I mean, I do know a lot of people. Like our Patreon has like loved it. And they had asked me to watch it for a really long time, and I finally caved, and then I was like, "Oh my god." And now I get it. I get it, guys. I get it. I'll listen to you now.
Why didn't they think I would like it?
I don't think they didn't. I don't know. I
Nobody
think they
came
were
to me and said I should watch this.
What'd you say?
Not one
Really?
person told me I
But
should
they
watch
came to you and said you should watch The Red Sleeve, and you did, and you loved it.
Yeah, I think you would like Weak Hero Class. If you, again, I would say like the violence level would be like My Name maybe, but you have to is the problem
it. Fine with violence.
She's fine
Right.
with violence.
I
You
would
don't need to.
say well, I'm
prep
saying
her
more
for
for
that.
like the listeners just so they know. I would say though it is hard because they're high schoolers. So
Yeah.
like that's hard for me because I'm like these are supposed to be they're not obviously they're like in their 20s. Although Choi Hanuk when he did this role was probably fairly young. He might have been 20, 19 or 20. But they're supposed to be high schoolers and they're like I mean they're getting wrecked. I mean this is not like they're getting smashed with baseball bats. Like it's hard to watch. Um but like the power of friendship, man. Friendship.
Friendship soulmates who should be lovers.
So I was saying, I feel like we could do this again. Like, I feel like we could do a chemistry part 4, 5, 6, and
For
7
sure.
where we, so if you guys want, please like give us some feedback if like this was fun that we picked apart a relationship like this and talked about like how the chemistry worked for us. Let us know because we could easily do. I mean, I thought this was gonna be a short podcast and we actually went kind of
No.
long. So clearly
It was two podcasts. So
well, yeah, it was on chemistry, right?
we thought we
So-
were going to do this all in one, like talk about what chemistry is, what makes good chemistry, and give examples, and we couldn't.
No, I
So,
talked about I mean, I just talked for I don't even know how long. So, just about one couple. So, yeah, anyway, that was really fun. I could do this again. I could do this again.
yeah, this was a great topic. So it gives us a chance to go back and talk about dramas that we loved a long time ago, dramas that are new that we just found that we loved. And yeah, I mean, we brought it up before, like we always want to give you the podcast episodes that you want to listen to. So, like Megan said, if you like this, if you've got other ideas of things you want us to talk about, we'd love to hear.
Yep. Let us know. And may all your K-dramas be filled with good chemistry of all kinds.
Absolutely.
All
All
right.
right.
Well, until next time.
안녕. 안녕.
감사합니다. Thank you for listening to Afternoon of Delight. Where can you find us outside the pod? Head on over to afternoonadelight.com. That's AFTERNOONADELIGHT.com. You'll find links to all our social media, our book recs, K-pop and K-skincare recs, and if you want even more Afternoon of Delight, because really who doesn't, you can join our Patreon, where you can choose the patron level that's right for you. Join in daily K-drama conversations, listen to bonus podcast episodes just for patrons, and participate in our monthly live K-drama support group via Zoom. We can't wait for you to be a part of the community. Until next time, annyeong!